Okay, what I thought I'd do here is show how I traded Friday. This is Friday's chart at 6:30, right at the opening. We're about 11 seconds into it. That's the market replay program right there. I'm using it to cover my account number. So it works out real nicely right there in that top corner. So I'll just just so you know where it's located, so you see the countdown time. That countdown timer is going to be the accurate time. Normally in live trading, this timer at the top of the 1 minute chart and the 5 minute chart here, where you see it counting down, you'd want to look at that timer, and that's going to show you when the next bar is going to appear on the particular chart you're looking at. So this would be 2, 1. That would be the new bar, 58 seconds. But for market replay, that's not accurate, and so we have to go by the timer here, where I'm using the cursor on the right side here. Okay, so I've got it paused here at 6:30 and 11 seconds, so the market's just opened, and we can see that it's just prior to the open. It's had an explosive spike, an up move here, and usually when you get something like that, normally I don't pay too much attention to what goes on prior to the open. I want to see a fractal form in the new open of the market, because that has the characteristics of the current market I'm trading. Whereas if I look back here, the market has a completely different character in the overnight trading. So I usually, before I enter a trade, I want to see the fractals after the open of the U.S. market. But in this case, we've got an explosive up move, and usually when you get a move like that outside the Bollinger Band, and you got to close here, see the close outside the Bollinger Band here, and then you get a reversal. It's going to reverse, I know, at least all the way back to the ADMA line here, the blue ADMA line, exponential moving average. And so we've got a reversal here to that line. At least I know it's coming back that far. And I know, since this is what I would consider a large pullback, because it's over 50% of the move up, and usually if you get a spike like this, you'll get a stronger reaction swing or a pullback. So what I need to see is it come below the 8 EMA line and then back up through that line to go long again. And I need the 8 EMA line to slope upward. And if it's bending inward towards the 14 simple moving average, then I know that's a good signal that it's most likely reversing trend right there. So I'd want to be short at that point. But in any case, usually before there's a trend reversal, it's going to make a 1, 2, 3 top formation. In this case, from an uptrend to a downtrend. So the number 1 point would be there, and the number 2 point is going to be somewhere down here, and then I'm expecting a leg upward. And depending on the volatility, I can decide whether or not to trade those. Usually those are fairly risky trades if it's lower volatility, but right now I can already see the volatility is pretty good, because the point lines are fairly close together, so that tells me each bar is moving a good distance. This is what I would consider what it would look like for decent trading. So anyway, let's start the recording here. I've got it set on 1.5 speed. I find that setting it on 1 is a little bit too slower than normal, than a live market, and 1.5 is a little faster, but it's closer to the reality of the way it's moving. And so at this point, in the live market, I'm still looking. I'm looking for a number 3 point because we still got an uptrend here in the 5-minute market and the 1-minute market. So I'm still looking for that number 3 point. But I've got to be very patient and wait for that to form, if it's going to form, and then it would have to move up. So I'm actually trading momentum. And in this case, since we have a break below this support area here, combined with a close outside the upper Bollinger Band and reversal bar, all these signals are pretty significant that we're due for a strong reversal here. So I'm going to start looking for that ADMA to come downward, and that's my cue that maybe it's reversing trend. And where I can, I'll just speed this up so we don't spend a lot of boring time before the market entry point. So I'll just speed them up to the point where I'd enter the trade, and then I'll make a comment about what my thinking is, or my rationale for considering that trade. And so that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking it's probably going to reverse on me here. If you look at the 5-minute chart, I'm expecting it to come all the way to that ADMA line on the 5-minute chart. So that's got a long ways to go down. So that's a good short trade on the 1-minute chart. And if I was feeling risky, I might say take the trade there. Let's just try it. As you see, it's not too far to my target, 5 points away. And this is my stop loss order above it here. I've got them automatically set, obviously. The initial trades, sometimes I'll do a trailing stop loss, but in this case, since the market's choppy, I don't really know what it's going to do, so it's better to take just 5 points when it's available. And so there we got it, first $100. In the live market, they would take out brokers' commissions, of course, So that would probably be, in reality, would be about $97, or a little bit over that. So if you're going to be aggressive like that and take that first down move below the line, just know that the most probable thing to happen is another swing to the upside, so it forms a 1, 2, 3 pattern. And usually these 1, 2, 3 patterns will either form above the before the 8 EMA, before they cross over. In that case, I just take the breakout of the number 2 point, or they form below the 8 EMA, in which case we're already in a downtrend and we've already seen the crossover occur. But as you can see, it's bending towards the 14 moving average, so that's a good signal right there that it's about to trend change. But I'm still expecting a leg upward here, so I don't want to go short just yet. I want to wait for it to come back to that 8 EMA line, because if I went short now, I'd have to wait through this retracement here, and I don't like waiting through adverse movement. That causes a lot of anxiety there. You want to try to catch it just as it's moving towards your intended trade direction. You're kind of playing on momentum here, even though you really shouldn't follow each individual tick, because that can be very deceptive. Because it'll often fake you out, you assume it's going up, but then it starts back down. So it's not good to watch each individual tick, but at the same time, I'm trading larger momentum in the short direction. See, right there, I would be prompted to go short at that close if this bar. See, it's already coming up against that 8 EMA line. But if it were to fall and come even with that that previous close right there, that's a sign it's got momentum into the short direction, and we're looking at a crossover there. So I'm getting ready on the sell button here. You see, we got plenty of time, but we're just waiting for it. Just be patient for it to tell you. There was a signal right there. It happens that quickly. See, I'm seeing it break below that previous support of the previous bar, and that tells me it has momentum to break below that support area, and so it should hit that 5-point target. There we go. So we're up 220. I don't know how. That'd probably be close to what it would really do in reality. You know, sometimes you get a little slippage in your favor. Sometimes it works in your favor as well. So at this point, what I'm looking for is a bar to come above the previous bar to give me another number 3 point. And so tempted to speed it up, but I'm just gonna, if I do that, I'll probably miss a trade here. So here, I'll just speed it up a little bit. Okay, so that would be the right there. You're suspecting the number 2 point because this low is higher than that low. So that tells me if that bar holds and it doesn't come back and take that low out, then that's a valid number 2 point. So now we're looking for a number 3 point, which is going to occur somewhere. Remember, the criteria is it's got to come up to that ADMA line before I feel comfortable going short again, because this could be in a trading range here. If you look at this as the measuring bar for a trading range, it gives you about the distance, and also you have the flat Bollinger Bands. That gives you the distance about a possible range that we could be looking at. But since the market's new, it just opened, it could quickly break out of this range, and we're looking at a downtrend here. So I'm suspecting both things is where my mind is at. You know, if it's a trading range, I want to make sure that I've got enough distance from that. If I go short, I want enough distance from that point of entry at that 8 EMA line to the lower Bollinger Band. So let's see how it develops here. Let me continue. I've still got it set on 15 speed, so that's kind of fast here. Yeah, let's see here. I'll put it back to 1.5. Now for me, that's too far away. This point right here, that might be a valid entry, but it's just too far away from that ADMA line. This point right here. As you can see, I'd have to wait through all this stuff here, and that's why I want to enter as close to that line as I can. So this could be a valid trade right here, but yeah, it's still this point of entry right here, where this open is, which is even with this last close. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points below that ADMA line. And that's too far away for me to enter it. It's about mid-channel in this Bollinger Band channel right here. See, now it's coming into the zone where I feel comfortable going short. And so that's the irony of trading. You're looking, it's going the opposite direction I want to be trading, but I need it to go that direction to give me the proper entry point here. And so I'm still patient because I don't know if it's made a good number 3 point, because these two are even. Now this looks like a solid number 3 point, but is it a trend change? I don't know. So I've got to wait for this to establish itself, which will happen at the next bar. Then if that next bar has a lower high and that opening is close to that 80 MA line, then I can go short. I have trouble saying that 80 MA is a, for some reason I can't say that. Okay, so that might have been, I might have missed an entry here, but that's a single bar entry, and those are touch and go. Sometimes you'll get an entry that you'll miss because it's the same bar that enters is the same bar that makes the number 3 point. And so as a new trader, I would say you don't have to be that aggressive. You'll have other opportunities. It's safer to let that number 3 point be established, even if you have to miss a couple trades. Okay, that's my signal right there. See how this market replay sometimes gives you not a good entry. And just in case, sometimes I can make that decision. If I've got a little money built up, I'll move my stop further away just to give it a little bit of room here. I know I've got a good slope to that 80 MA line, and I know I've got some good distance to the outer Bollinger Band here. So that's a good signal as far as I'm concerned, but it's trading within a range right now. So I know that's pretty much my limit. So if that reverses on me, I can hit that reverse and cancel button, or just let it hit my stop and then take the trade to the upside, and it would probably go to the upper Bollinger Band. But looks like that number 3 point was valid, because this high point is lower than that number 3 point. So this also could be 1, 2, 3 low, and that's the kind of thing that gets you. That's the 1, 2, 3 bottom. I mean, that's a kind of decision making that is frustrating because it happens in slow motion, and that's always the risk, is that you're trading the wrong way when it is trying to trend reverse on you, and which is more common in a trading range. So if we have to take a loss, we take a loss, and then we just keep on going. But right now we're up, $200. So far so good. So I'm just going to let that play itself out. You don't want to be second guessing yourself all the time. Just let it do what it wants to do here. See, we're building up kind of a ledge here. I know if it broke below this support area, which is some people call ledges or shelves, if you broke through that support, you'd be looking at a continuation of the downtrend, maybe a breakout of that trading range here. And so I'm kind of getting in early, taking advantage of that. But yeah, it's making me wait here. And that's just part of it. Sometimes it's a waiting game. And a minute seems like forever when you've got money on the line here. If I think it's not going to go or break out, I can always hit exit the market and cancel. That's a good button to keep your cursor on, just in case, as a backup, because that'll get you out of a trade if you need to real quickly. But sometimes you just got to give them room to breathe, And I see the 80 MA line is bending inwards. So, yeah, I'm just going to wait a few minutes here. You see how that entry would have, if I, in a real live market, if I had entered at that open, which is possible in a live market. It's just that this market replay software, sometimes it entered me 2 points beyond where I hit my sell button. And it's good for practice, but in reality you can expect more accuracy than that. But if I had entered at that open 1, 2, 3, 4, I would have got out at my 5-point target already. So this kind of screws you over, but it makes you kind of a better trader, as you have to be more accurate. But I don't like the way that's looking as it's closing in. But it's also, yep, it's breaking downward. Okay, we got our other target hit. So I just paused it right there. What that tells me is it's breaking below the support of this ledge. And so we're yeah, I'm just looking for what I expect it to do is probably bounce off that lower Bollinger Band here, because even though that's a breakout of that ledge, we've still got these flat Bollinger Bands. This one's narrowing inward. This one's narrowing inward. Those aren't good signs, you know, that. And this 80 MA line is narrowing inward towards the magenta 14 SMA line. And so all those signals right here tell me that this isn't ready to trend yet. So I'll be very cautious about this next trade. So we'll just let it continue here and see what develops. It's funny how if you trade a lot, I don't even remember this from Friday, so I'm just going by purely what the rules are, which is good to see anyway, because you don't want to. I'm just going to strictly trade by the rules and not try to take any chances, because I'm just trying to show what it can do if you're just following a set of rules here. And so that's my thought process now, is that see how they're really narrowing? This 80 MA is narrowing. It looks like it's going to cross over. And what's bothering me here is this. If you look at the 5-minute chart, we're looking at a crossover to the downside here. So if we get an up trade here, I don't expect it to last too long. And you got to be really cautious about these. As you can see, that 80 EMA line is moving in real time. So you want to make sure it's really crossed over before you take that trade. And especially when the Bollinger Bands are narrowing like that, you really got to be cautious about that. So we're I don't know. That's everything about this is saying don't take this yet. You know. But what I can do, see, I'm expecting a third leg up on the 5-minute chart. So I'm expecting it to make a 1, 2, 3 here. So we should see some good up move here. And based on that rationale, if it crosses over here, I think I'll just take that trade. I don't know if I would in reality. I'm just breaking my own rule here. Because it looks risky, you know, it doesn't look like there's enough room here. But yeah, that crossover looks pretty good. So I think in the next bar, if it still looks like it crossed over here, we'll see how it looks. Got my mouse button on the buy at the market, but I keep hitting it, didn't do anything. That's good. This might very well be a mistake, because look at that. I'm violating every rule here. I'm trading right as it's narrowing. But we got a good crossover here, and I'm banking on it coming up a little bit on the 5-minute chart, even though the trend is Still going to be down on the 5-minute chart. I'm trading it basically the number 2 point and the number 3 point on the 5-minute chart. Yep, so we got it. So the volatility is good enough today, and low volatility, I might have gotten killed, trying that same move there. But we've got good enough volatility to where that target was hit. So that's a judgment call sometimes. If it's low volatility, I wouldn't try that. So question now is this uptrend going to continue? Or are we going to continue? Is this going to be a 1, 2, 3 top formation on the 5-minute chart? Is there going to be a crossover on the 5-minute chart? If it is, then any trade to the upside here on the 1-minute chart is going to be invalid. That's kind of how I use the two charts together here. So I'm looking at the bigger picture on the 5-minute chart and kind of looking at the micro swings on the minor swings on the 1-minute chart. I can change the perspective, just by zooming in occasionally, or you can, by holding down the shift button, you can change the perspective here, and double clicking brings it back to automated view or automated scroll. Okay, so that looks like it's bouncing off the top Bollinger Band to the other side here. And look how flat this range is. That tells me I need to see a breakout here, because I don't like the idea of trading within this range when the ADMA line is kind of laying right on top of the 14 SMA line. There's no expansion like the gator mouth opening. If I were to go long here, let's say I went long here, I've only got I've got about 5, but since it's a trading range, I'm expecting a 1, 2, 3. So I don't want to be trading that shorter leg up here. And sure enough, that might have been a good down trade, but this might be a good short trade right here. But since we're in a tight range here, I don't think it's worth it. I'm not going to take that. That's kind of how my thinking goes on these tight ranges. We've been getting a lot more of these lately. And the narrower they are, I tend to want to be a breakout trader. I don't want to try to trade within it. Could this be a breakout? I don't know, but I'm going to let it show me first. And if it breaks below here and then comes back up and it starts forming a trend, I'll go short at that point. See, that would have been a good short trade, but sometimes you miss them because you just you want to stay safe. So that broke below that low here, but I don't know. I need to see this come back and form a hook here. Obviously, you wouldn't want to enter the trade here because we're right up against the lower Bollinger Band. That's a no trade zone. You want it to be right on that ADMA line, then start heading back down again before you consider going short here. So that's the way you stop from being fooled into being, you want to let the market tell you what it's doing before you take a trade, and not let it con you into taking something you shouldn't be trading just because you have an impulse. Like that would have been a good trade, maybe, but I can't take it because according to my rules, I've got to see it come back to that ADMA line. So we missed some good ones, but that some others will do well. I'm going to just pause it here, and then I'm not sure how long YouTube will let me go on here, but I'll continue this in another video.